welcome back, and that was a quick report featuring what we're going to be talking about in this interesting segment. It's a folkloric festival, and actually our two prominent guests is going to tell us more details about what they do in this festival and what is being presented. Of course, I'm very delighted to have with us Mr. Gawdet Bassouma, General Coordinator of the Plastic Arts Events in Cairo, the Afro-Chinese Arts and Folklore Festival, and Mr. Samsung Meressa from Ethiopia. He is a painter, and they're going to talk to us about what they're presenting in this festival. Good evening, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll start with you, Mr. Meressa, and would like to know from you what was your participation within this festival?
My participation was as an artist, and I tried to make some artworks in the festival, and in the vibration of the festival there is a lot of people participating through all Africans from Nigeria, from Sudan, also from Egypt, from Ethiopia, and that vibration gives me some energy to create what the Africans are thinking about, or what is my internal expression, or how to express myself through this to the others, to give information about my country or about Africa. And I try to make that kind of things, the spirit, what the spirit is giving me, the energy that I try to show that kind of thing.
Yes, very good.
Mr. Bassouma, how important is it to choose the location of this festival? Of course, it's one of the most inspiring locations in Cairo. Tell us about the choice of the location.
Yes, we know that we have to rebuild the relationships between Africans, because it's important, and others, Chinese, because Chinese was today now most of important civilization and people and power in the world. There is economics, there is a lot of exchange, and it's important, the location, Cairo and many places we visit and we work on was important. Cairo, you know, we know, all of us know that it's civilization, very ancient, very important. So it's Egypt nowadays is the result of many centuries of civilization, and we saw it on the wall, we saw it on the Nile, we saw it on the dust, we saw it, this result, we saw it on people of Egypt. There's many energy, claxons, dust, beauty, hard, strong. So it's life,
yes.
Life with all the dialectal. So it was a very rich experience to read all this. We saw pyramids, we saw museum, we work with people on live, we do many artistical things, and cultures nowadays was one of these way to go to discover another people, to exchange, and I think the culture is important for that, and we have to rebuild, because I think personally we forget our relationships with our substance, African substance, and it's important to rediscover our culture, African culture, our essential culture, to have one step beyond in the future with another people, which is important, like Chinese, for example, because Chinese is one of the people that we discover between us. So the location is most important, because there is an alphabet, a cultural alphabet in Cairo, especially, which is resume for me the word because civilization, pharaonic, Arabic and all, is resumed the world. We have the dead and we have the life. And this dialectical is good, eros and thanatos. So it's good for us to discover that.
That's a wise idea, to have this fusion or mix between those civilization, the African civilization and also the Chinese civilization. So how did this work so far? How did it work, getting them together? Like you mentioned, China is with the civilization, also the partnership with the African nation is very strong in economical ties and political ties. But how did it work out, having those meeting together?
Because we work together for in many places, and we were together. We were when they in show, when they're doing the show, for example, there is an exhibition of what they do. There is an exhibition about gastronomy, about songs, about folkloric, because there is folkloric, so it's start. All the art was present in this festival, so we can exchange and discover in context, in different context around in Cairo. We saw many locations, for example, and we do a lot of work together. So I think it was easier to us to go in, and this is universal language. We are not obliged to learn Chinese to discover when the interface was cultural.
Or hear the music, for example.
Or hear the music, or to see dancing, and it's amazing to discover that the subject of human beings is the same. Against the difference was cultural, but the subject, the essential, we know that we are the same.
Right, Mr. Meressa,
Okay.
if you could allow me, tell me, what are you showcasing in this particular festival? Of course, you are a painter and you're professionalized in visual arts, and tell me, what do you represent, since we...
Okay, I represent Ethiopia.
Okay, and
Not only
when are your
Ethiopia.
types of work?
Yeah, not only Ethiopia, I represent Africa, according to Chinese and other peoples.
Would you speak up, please? Raise up your voice.
Yeah, okay. When we see an artist is writing history, every artist writing history. When we see the pyramids, the Sphinx and others, that statues around the world that made by artists, also now they are making a lot of works. Because of these statues, because of these masterpieces, we know about the past. We know about what they are thinking, what their knowledge was, or what we learn from them. We have a lot of things because of the masterpieces that those made by the artists. The society creates the ground to these artists to create their energy, to create their internal feeling to the world, and that helps us now. That gives us a connection from one generation to this generation. There's a bridge, and every artist make an history, also writing an history. Because of that, now when we come to here, we learn a lot of things. We visit a lot of Egyptian or African art masterpieces and different kind of historical places. That gives us an energy and to release according to our perspective. Because we are a product of the society, we are a product of this generation, and we write history for the next generation. That's the reason that I am here.
Right, Mr. Gawdet, being the general coordinator for the plastic arts events on the sidelines of this festival, if you can tell us a little bit about the plastic arts.
My own, or what I observed?
Yeah, what was happening in the festival, and definitely what you would be doing.
Yes, I came here representing Algeria, came with two films. They gave me in Algeria two films that awarded in, for the directors. And I present an exhibition of work and came with my own work. It's a contemporary form, like a neo-pop art, if we can say it, because I just put it some Algerian, spicy, Arabic and African, so different part of my own civilization, of my inheritance. But the most important work that we do is with the Cairo, with the Egyptian people there, because the organizer, Yasser, the curator, guys organized, and the many different organizers organized for us a lot of programs, including visits, but visits not only touristic. The visit was following inside the location with a work on life, drawing, sketching, discussing, exchange with different people. First with for example, with the dancers too. There is so many sketches and drawing about the dancer, for example, about the show, about the exhibition, and exchanging, organizing a tour, for example, in Pyramid and in many locations. We eat kushari. Perhaps it can be simple, but it was important.
This will give you immunity for life, by the way.
Yes, I think, especially when you put it spicy, radioactive spicy. But it's important for us. Personally, I have a big sensation, the energy which my friend talked about. I was in telepathy with Naguib Mahfouz. For example, personally, I understand Naguib Mahfouz when I come here. Excuse me to talk about my wife, like Colombo. The first night I arrive, I go out to eat with the people, kibde, tahina, badingan, and they received me really naturally.
Very well.
And I said to my wife, it's dusty, it's a klaxon. I adore Cairo, you know. So
the noise and the crowd.
Yes. So this energy was very, very, very positive. It's not simply in aesthetic and good aesthetic, very clean, but the life was resumed here. I said before, the life was resumed. So it was important to us to draw, to see, to take photos, to discuss with people, to
understand the culture.
Because we know about some literatures. I met a lot of people, old people. They told me about the tradition of theater, for example, the big tradition of Cairo, of Egypt, of theater. We know that because in Algeria we are in link. Important link. It's not football, it's cultural link.
Yes.
I insist on that. We don't resume our link or relationships on football. It's all
exactly.
culture. We
There's a lot more.
eat the Egyptian culture with big pleasure till now. Literature, I know Naguib Mahfouz, for example, in Algeria. Taha Hussein, we studied in the school. But when you discover all these things, I said before, it's an alphabet. So this alphabet, you saw it, you hear it, you smell it. It's very important for next energy work. I go back in Algeria with another image, a strong image, very aesthetic image, Shakespearean image, because there is a lot of dramatic. It's really a school of aesthetic. When this
Mr.
exchange.
Meressa, let me take it to you and ask you about the common background that Egypt and Ethiopia have in common. It goes back to the time of Gamal Abdel Nasser. and the tight relationship that goes back to that time. Of course, Egyptians and Ethiopians share a lot of memories, and they share the Nile River, and they share the folklore, they shared even similar types and beats of music. In your type of work, how do you see the similarities between the types of art in the Egyptian art and the Ethiopian? And are you thinking of creating any kind of mixture?
Yeah, I try to show some of Ethiopian art elements, and also I try to include some of the Egyptian art elements as putting them together. And also the vibration of the vibration of the festival, I try to make the Egyptian dances, and I try to attach with those pyramids and the other stuff with mosques. When I cross the Cairo road by car or by my foot, I share the spirit of the mosques. They are powerful, and they give it gives the city some spiritus. It takes me to the past of Cairo, what it looks like, and I try to show that kind of things. But when we see I believe in one thing, that Ethiopia and Egypt have a lot of things using in common. Already we are rooted in nature because of Nile. For me, the territory is made by colonialists, not by ours. Our ancestors knows everything. They live together, they share nature together. They are rooted because of the river. And the world civilization also starts from the Nile. That civilization has no any boundary at that time. There is no boundary. There was no any boundary. Boundary is a new thing. Not even now it is all going unite. We Africans has to be unite. We know already the nature rooted us to be united. There is no any conflict between the Sudan, Egypt, and Ethiopia. As a people, when we are thinking as a people, when I'm thinking as a people, one of Ethiopians, I don't want any interest according to our other country. I'm thinking when I come to Egypt, I'm thinking as my country. I'm feeling as my country. When I see those in the museum, the pyramids or everything, I feel as I am in Ethiopia. I feel like it is my country. It is my root. It is Nile. It is my.
And you're sitting right by the side of the Nile.
Yes, this is Nile. It represents me. It represents everything. Also, this obelisk is Aksum. This obelisk is the civilization of Ethiopia. It represents. It tells us so many things. In this obelisk, there is a history of Egypt here. There is, in this pyramids, there is a history of Ethiopia. Already we rooted in nature, not by thinking of the other pupils or politics or other things. As an artist, we have to think it naturally. We have to think as human, what human being needs. That is the reality. As Africans, what we are doing for us, what we learn from our ancestors. Our ancestors, when I see in the museum, when I see in the different statues or representative workers, I see myself inside of all history. Because of that, we couldn't to say there is no any boundary between these countries. I believe on that, first of all, as an artist, also as Ethiopian.
That was a very good word from you, Samson Meressa.
Thank you.
It has been a great pleasure, and thank you for these wise words. It makes a lot of sense, and I think it's a great message to all Africans and maybe to the world. So thank you for that, and also Mr. Gawdet Gusuma. We'd like to thank you very much. It has been a great pleasure with all of the information and the culture that you bring with you from Algeria. It has been a great pleasure to have you with us.
If you could allow me, Sharif, to add to what you're saying, that what you said, Mr. Meressa, if you take a few seconds from me, is a great message to both Egyptians and Ethiopians, and maybe artists like you and the peoples of Ethiopia and the peoples of Egypt. We share the same views together, and we totally agree with your positive side. Maybe we could be able to contain the situation by your beautiful art and your beautiful perception of the mutual relations.
We have to work more thinking to share, to connect these two countries. Also, the governments are responsible for this. Also, the artists are responsible for this.
Exactly.
To communicate this society naturally as the Nile River.
Yes, all right, and we were just speaking about the Egyptian culture and also the ancient Egyptians, so let's have a look at the story also related to this topic.